Have you ever awakened with a sense of disquiet, as if something within your body is amiss, yet you cannot articulate it? Many seniors dismiss these peculiar morning sensations, attributing them to mere aging or a poor night's rest. However, what if these subtle indicators are, in fact, your body's plea for assistance? Each year, thousands of older adults retire for the night in good health, only to awaken to the onset of a significant medical crisis. The reality is that our bodies do not deteriorate abruptly. They issue warnings, quietly and persistently. The sooner you heed those warnings, the greater your opportunity to maintain strength, independence, and safety. Today, we will discuss 3 significant warning signs that must never be overlooked. If you encounter any of these, particularly on multiple occasions, you should contact your physician immediately. Do not postpone action until conditions deteriorate or until someone else observes the issue. This is your body, and it is conveying a crucial message. So, take a deep breath and let us commence. Aging does not equate to relinquishing control over your health. In fact, the more we comprehend, our bodies communicate with us, and the greater our awareness, the better we can safeguard our future. This is why today's video is crucial. We will examine 3 specific signs you may observe upon waking. These are not mere trivial discomforts. They may indicate significant underlying issues. Perhaps you experienced confusion one morning, felt tightness in your chest, or noticed sudden swelling in your feet after a restful night. Many individuals overlook these subtle signals, but they warrant attention, particularly for those over 65. This video may provide early indicators of stroke, cardiac issues, or organ failure. By its conclusion, you will be equipped with the knowledge of what to observe and, crucially, the appropriate subsequent actions, as prompt intervention can preserve lives, potentially including your own or that of a loved one. If you value staying informed and enhancing your well-being annually, ensure you follow our channel and activate the notification bell. One abrupt episode of confusion or difficulty in speech may signal a problem. You may awaken one morning feeling unwell, despite the sunlight streaming through your window. Your preferred mug awaits in the kitchen, yet your thoughts seem ensnared behind a misty barrier. You attempt to articulate your ideas, but they elude you. When you inquire of your spouse regarding the day, you falter, asking, "Whence? Wait, what was I saying again?" This experience transcends mere forgetfulness. It is not simply a senior moment, but rather something more disconcerting and disconnected. If it occurs abruptly, particularly upon awakening, it may indicate a more grave condition than it initially seems. This precisely transpired with Harold Patterson, a 76-year-old retired mailman from Ohio. Harold had been a reliable individual for decades, the type of man who never missed a day of work, never forgot an anniversary, and never lost his train of thought mid-sentence. However, one morning, everything changed. Harold awoke feeling unusually lethargic, as though he had not slept at all. He reached for his glasses and noticed his hand felt cumbersome. When his wife, Janet, inquired whether he preferred oatmeal or toast, Harold attempted to respond, but his words emerged as garbled, resembling someone struggling to articulate. Janet assumed he was. Harold appeared perplexed, his eyes blinking rapidly as if attempting to synchronize with his speech. Initially, they both dismissed it as mere sleepiness or possibly low blood sugar. However, 3 days later, Harold collapsed in their living room and was promptly transported to the hospital. The physicians diagnosed him with a complete ischemic stroke resulting from a blood clot obstructing blood flow to a section of his brain. Upon reviewing his scans and timeline, they uncovered a disturbing revelation. Harold had suffered a transient ischemic attack, TI, 3 days prior. Prior to the stroke on that hazy morning, the disorientation and difficulty in speech were not merely due to fatigue. It was a transient ischemic attack, TI, and the opportunity for early intervention was overlooked. So, what precisely is a TIA, and why is it imperative to regard it with gravity? A TIA, commonly referred to as a mini-stroke, represents a temporary obstruction of cerebral blood flow. Unlike a full stroke, a TIA does not result in lasting damage, with symptoms typically resolving within minutes to hours. However, it is crucial to note that a TIA frequently serves as a precursor to a significant stroke, according to medical experts. The American Stroke Association indicates that nearly one-third of individuals who experience a transient ischemic attack, TI, will subsequently suffer a full stroke within a year, with many occurring within just a few days. The symptoms may be subtle, including sudden confusion, difficulty forming sentences, slurred speech, challenges in recalling words, or a sensation of mental fog upon waking. These manifestations are frequently misattributed to sleepiness, fatigue, or dehydration. However, for individuals over 65, these seemingly minor issues may signify that the brain is indicating a problem with blood flow, and that time is of the essence. The brain requires a continuous, unimpeded supply of oxygen and nutrients via the bloodstream, particularly during the night. Individuals with conditions such as hypertension, atrial fibrillation, or arterial occlusion may experience restricted blood flow. Consequently, early morning hours represent a critical period for strokes, as blood pressure typically elevates upon awakening and the body transitions from a state of rest to activity. For seniors with potentially compromised circulation, this shift can provoke transient neurological events. Upon awakening, if your speech is incoherent, you experience cognitive sluggishness, and your memory is impaired, these symptoms may resolve within an hour. However, this does not imply safety, but rather a fortunate occurrence. Therefore, if you encounter such an episode, it is imperative not to disregard it. Should you awaken feeling disoriented, having difficulty articulating thoughts, or sensing a mental anomaly, promptly contact your physician or proceed to the emergency department. Even if the symptoms subside, your medical team can conduct imaging assessments, such as MRIs or CT scans, to investigate further. Indicators of transient ischemic attack, TIA, or diminished cerebral activity necessitate early detection, providing an opportunity to implement preventive measures such as initiating anticoagulants, modifying antihypertensive medications, or addressing underlying health issues prior to the occurrence of a complete stroke. In addition to consulting your physician, there are minor habits you can adopt immediately to mitigate your risk. Firstly, ensure adequate hydration throughout the day, particularly before bedtime, as dehydration can thicken the blood and elevate stroke risk overnight. Secondly, maintain a consistent sleep schedule, adhering to regular waking and sleeping times. Maintaining consistent daily routines aids in the regulation of blood pressure and cognitive function. Additionally, it is imperative to have regular blood pressure assessments. If you lack a home monitor, consider acquiring one, as many pharmacies provide complimentary blood pressure screenings. Lastly, trust your instincts. Your lifetime of experience has attuned you to your body's signals. If something feels amiss, even if inexplicable, it warrants investigation. Harold and Janet now possess a heightened awareness. Harold has made progress in his recovery, though not entirely, as his speech has returned. His previously unwavering confidence now wavers slightly when he answers the phone or recounts a story at church. However, they are appreciative, as they have come to recognize the significance of one morning's warning. They hope that others, like you, will heed their narrative and take action more promptly than they did. The peril of this sign lies in its ease of dismissal. A poor night's sleep, a forgotten medication, or mere morning grogginess are commonplace. Yet, confusion or difficulty in speaking that arises suddenly, particularly after rest, should never be overlooked. Your brain is attempting to communicate. Do not postpone heeding its messages until it is too late. Recognize that these signals frequently manifest subtly, akin to a whisper in the early morning. However, what starts as a whisper may escalate into a tempest. This leads us to the subsequent sign, which often goes unrecognized because it may not always present as pain, yet could serve as a covert indication that your heart is at risk. Let us examine this further. Chest tightness or pressure. Picture awakening before dawn. The house is still, and the birds have yet to sing. The morning light has yet to penetrate the curtains. You sit up, stretch languidly, and suddenly experience a sensation, not acute pain, nor anything overtly alarming, but rather a pressure, an unusual tightness in your chest, akin to someone gently yet firmly pressing down on you. You inhale, wishing for it to dissipate. Perhaps it is heartburn, perhaps anxiety, or possibly, just possibly, something significantly more perilous. This was the fate of Gloria Thompson, aged 81, from Charleston, South Carolina. Gloria had always epitomized resilience. She was a retired piano teacher, self-sufficient and independent. Intellectually astute, she meticulously tended to her rose garden each morning. However, one day last spring, she awoke at 5:30 a.m. with an unusual tightness in her chest, neither sharp nor crushing, but distinctly uncomfortable. She sat on the edge of her bed, waiting for 10 minutes. Although it was not painful, it felt amiss. Reluctant to create a disturbance, she dressed, brewed coffee, and assumed it would subside. 3 hours later, her daughter visited and immediately discerned something was amiss. Gloria's complexion appeared pallid, and she was perspiring. Upon their arrival at the hospital, the situation became more concerning. Medical professionals informed her that she had experienced a silent heart attack, likely commencing several hours prior, possibly even overnight. Gloria had been ambulating for hours while her heart was in distress. What, then, constitutes a silent heart attack, and why is it prevalent and perilous for the elderly? A silent heart attack, or silent myocardial infarction, occurs when blood flow to a section of the heart is obstructed, akin to a conventional heart attack. However, in contrast to the dramatic chest-clutching portrayals depicted on television, these heart attacks can transpire without overt symptoms. Minimal or absent overt symptoms may manifest, with pain often being dull or imperceptible. Frequently, the sole indicators are ambiguous sensations of pressure, dyspnea, nausea, fatigue, or diaphoresis. Seniors, particularly those aged over 65, are more predisposed to encounter these silent episodes due to alterations in pain perception associated with aging, pre-existing medical conditions, and neuropathy resulting from prolonged diabetes or other chronic ailments. According to the American Heart Association, over 45% of heart attacks are classified as silent, with older adults being the most affected demographic. The risk of completely overlooking these signs is significant. One reason they are often disregarded is their ease of dismissal. Most individuals do not connect mild chest tightness or morning pressure with a life-threatening condition. We attribute it to acid reflux, an awkward sleeping position, or prolonged recumbency. Because it is not accompanied by pain, we tend to believe it can be postponed. However, the heart does not always signal distress vocally. At times, it merely whispers. When it does, every moment is critical. The longer a blockage remains unaddressed, the greater the damage inflicted. The heart muscle sustains permanent damage once compromised. If you awaken with unusual pressure or tightness in your chest, particularly if it is new, persistent, or feels abnormal, the initial step is straightforward yet vital. Do not dismiss it. Sit upright, monitor your breathing, and observe any accompanying symptoms. Are you perspiring? Experiencing dizziness? Does the pressure dissipate rapidly, or does it persist? Even if the sensation is mild, and you believe you are likely fine, you should promptly contact your physician or proceed to the nearest medical facility. If you reside alone, contact a neighbor or family member to accompany you if your symptoms worsen or are accompanied by nausea, discomfort in the jaw or arm, or difficulty breathing. Call 911 immediately. It is always prudent to seek assistance and discover that it was inconsequential rather than remain silent and jeopardize your heart health or face more severe consequences. Regarding prevention, prioritize heart health daily. If you smoke, cease immediately. If you have hypertension, diabetes, or hyperlipidemia, manage these conditions effectively. Adhere to those conditions meticulously with your physician's guidance. Maintain an active lifestyle through daily walking, stretching, or light gardening. Even 30 minutes of movement daily contributes to vascular health and enhances circulation. Consume a heart-healthy diet abundant in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beneficial fats such as olive oil and avocados. Refrain from heavy dinners and late-night snacking, as these can exacerbate reflux and disrupt sleep, thereby placing additional strain on your heart overnight. Lastly, heed your body's signals. No one is more attuned to your normal state than you are. Something seems amiss, and it likely is. Gloria now possesses a diminutive reminder, a heart-shaped charm on her keychain inscribed with the phrase, "Listen early, act fast." This serves as a reminder for her and her daughters that health is not solely indicated by loud alarms. Often, it involves recognizing subtle signs. Following her silent heart attack, Gloria transformed her lifestyle by incorporating morning meditation, reducing her salt intake, and consulting her cardiologist every 3 months. Most significantly, she discusses her experience openly, as she initially believed she was merely being. She asserts toughness, yet toughness is not synonymous with intelligence. Numerous seniors were conditioned to endure pain, overlook discomfort, or avoid being a burden. However, disregarding a warning sign does not eliminate it. Rather, it allows it to escalate. Therefore, if you awaken and experience unusual pressure in your chest, not pain, do not dismiss it. Take it seriously, trust your instincts, and recognize that your life merits the call. While heart attacks may be asymptomatic, the resultant damage frequently communicates profoundly. If the subtle pressure you feel is your heart's plea for assistance, the most detrimental action is to feign ignorance. Now, let us proceed to the third indication, a warning that frequently remains unnoticed, manifesting not in your mind or chest, but rather in something as unassuming as your feet. Swollen feet or ankles can appear overnight. It begins like any other morning. You swing your legs over the bed's edge, prepared to start the day, and upon glancing down, you notice your feet appear puffy, the skin around your ankles taut, and the bones. What you typically observe is now obscured by an unusual soft swelling. You blink, rub your eyes, and question whether it is merely a figment of your imagination. You did not twist anything, bump your leg, or experience any discomfort overnight. So what transpired? Why are your feet swollen? This was the precise inquiry that Mary Linwood posed to herself one tranquil morning in early spring. Mary, aged 81, was a retired librarian from upstate New York, residing alone in the home her husband had constructed decades prior, surrounded by a plethora of Aesop's fables and antiquated books. Mary was astute, organized, and in good health. Despite her age, she walked every afternoon, maintained a low salt intake, and diligently monitored her blood pressure each morning. However, for 3 consecutive days, she awoke to discover her feet and ankles swollen, neither painful nor red, merely unusually puffy. On the first morning, she attributed it to a salty dinner. On the second, she reasoned it was due to prolonged sitting while watching television. By the third morning, her slippers barely fit, and her legs felt heavy, as if she were dragging waterlogged towels. Nevertheless, she hesitated to contact anyone, as she did not experience any pain. Mary experienced a fever and hesitated to burden others. However, upon disclosing her condition to her daughter during a video call, her daughter insisted on an immediate medical consultation. Diagnostic tests indicated that Mary's heart was not effectively pumping blood as it once did, revealing early-stage congestive heart failure, with swelling as the initial conspicuous symptom. The phenomenon of swelling in the feet and ankles, particularly overnight, warrants attention, especially among seniors. Medically, this swelling is referred to as peripheral edema. Accumulation of fluid in the tissues, frequently resulting from inadequate circulation or fluid retention during prolonged recumbency at night, occurs as fluid that is pooled in the body throughout the day redistributes. If cardiac function is compromised or renal filtration is suboptimal, this fluid lacks an appropriate outlet and consequently settles in the lower extremities, particularly the feet and ankles, due to gravitational forces. The outcome is that upon awakening, the feet may appear swollen and constricted. While certain instances of foot swelling can be benign, such as after extended periods of sitting or standing in elevated temperatures, sudden occurrences warrant attention. Persistent morning edema may indicate underlying conditions, most frequently heart failure, renal disease, or hepatic dysfunction in the elderly. These ailments can progress insidiously. Inefficient cardiac function may result in blood accumulation in the veins, causing fluid leakage into adjacent tissues. Impaired renal function may permit excessive sodium and water retention, culminating in fluid overload. Additionally, certain pharmacological agents, such as those prescribed for hypertension or diabetes, may induce edema as an adverse effect. The genuine peril resides in disregarding this symptom. Numerous older adults attribute it merely to aging or excessive salt intake the previous night. While diet is a contributing factor, chronic swelling, particularly when exacerbated in the morning, should not be overlooked. According to the CDC, Heart failure impacts over 6 million Americans, the majority of whom are over 60. It does not always manifest with chest pain. Often, it commences with subtle indicators such as swelling, fatigue, or dyspnea during routine activities. These are preliminary signs. Warnings can be effectively managed if identified promptly. If you observe swelling in your feet upon waking, particularly if it is a new occurrence, take a moment to assess and record the situation. Is the swelling symmetrical in both feet or more pronounced on one side? Does it subside after ambulation, or does it persist throughout the day? Are your socks leaving significant indentations on your skin? Have you experienced sudden weight gain over a few days, which may indicate fluid retention? If the swelling continues for more than a day or two, if symptoms exacerbate over time, it is advisable to consult your physician. They may prescribe blood tests, urine analyses, or an echocardiogram to assess cardiac function and renal health. Meanwhile, adopting certain habits can alleviate strain on your body. Elevate your legs for 15 to 20 minutes prior to bedtime, and again in the morning using a pillow or footrest. Avoid remaining in a static position for prolonged periods. Ensure adequate hydration, as proper fluid intake aids in the elimination of excess sodium from your system, and limit your consumption of certain foods. Foods high in sodium, such as canned soups, deli meats, and frozen dinners, can insidiously introduce sodium into your system. Regular physical activity, including gentle stretching, walking, or chair exercises, enhances circulation and fluid equilibrium. Following her diagnosis, Mary implemented various changes. She began maintaining a small notebook to document her morning weight, swelling levels, and daily feelings. Her physician modified her medications, and she became more attuned to her body's signals. What astonished her most was the subtlety of the changes. Signs indicating that something as seemingly trivial as swollen feet had nearly gone unrecognized. She informs her friends at book club, "It wasn't the pain that alerted me. It was the swelling that served as my indication." For seniors, such signs may appear inconsequential and even somewhat embarrassing to mention, yet they are significant. Swelling may seem minor, but it can be your body's initial signal that vital organs, such as your heart or kidneys, are under duress. By identifying it early, you provide your physician an opportunity to intervene before substantial harm transpires. We discussed confusion and slurred speech, chest pressure that seems inconsequential, and swollen feet that may indicate a more serious condition. Each of these symptoms may appear benign, yet they are significant alerts from your body urging you to take notice. If you have previously encountered any of these signs, perhaps dismissing them or lacking understanding of their implications, do not be concerned. The crucial factor is the action you decide to take from this point forward. Before concluding, let us take a moment for a brief check-in, after which I will provide you with a significant takeaway. If you are still engaged, it indicates your genuine concern for your health, which is commendable. Please comment the number 6 below to signify your participation in this journey. And remember to subscribe and activate notifications to ensure you never miss another informative video. Let us pause to breathe and reflect. We have just examined 3 compelling signs that your body may be utilizing to communicate with you: confusion or slurred speech in the morning, and unusual chest tightness without pain and sudden swelling in the feet or ankles upon waking may not appear alarming. Yet they could signify early indications of serious conditions such as stroke, silent heart attacks, or heart failure. The reality is that the body possesses an innate wisdom. It does not wait until one is hospitalized to signal distress. Instead, it communicates subtle warnings, morning signals indicating a need for attention. However, the encouraging news is that all of these issues can be addressed beginning today. There is no need to fear your emotions. Rather, you must be prepared to listen, act promptly, and voice concerns when something seems amiss. Prioritizing your health is not rooted in fear, but in honoring the life you have created, the individuals who care for you, and the numerous years that lie ahead. Often, the most minor decisions, such as making that phone call, scheduling a checkup, or disclosing your symptoms, can have a profound impact. Therefore, remember that you are not powerless, it is not too late, and you are not isolated. Let today be the moment you choose awareness over anxiety and courage over trepidation. Prioritize silence and action over regret. We appreciate your presence today, your health and life are significant. Your engagement in learning and listening demonstrates strength, not weakness. If any aspect of this video resonated with you or evoked a memory, please share it in the comments below. We review every message, and your insights may motivate others to take action as well. This channel exists because we believe our seniors deserve clarity, care, and community. If you found value here, please remember to subscribe and like. Disseminate this to someone you cherish. It may contribute to preserving a life. We shall return shortly with additional insights, veracity, and methods to thrive robustly, enduringly, and healthily. Until then, remain safe, inquisitive, and compassionate towards yourself. We look forward to seeing you in the next movie.